Hello everyone, this is the glass half full. And of course, today we're covering season 5 of How I Met Your Mother. As always, I'm going to review every single episode of the season in a very short amount of time, and afterwards I'll give my full thoughts on the season itself. So season 5 feels very different. I know I say this about every single season, but season 5 in particular has a very weird aura about it. That probably doesn't make any sense, but trust me, you'll see what I mean later on. So get your pencil, get your notepad, and this time I brought half a cookie. Funny story actually, before recording this, I ate half of it, and that's the story. By the way, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I'm having a lot of fun with this series, and if you subscribe, it makes me a lot more motivated to make these videos. So without further ado, let's begin. Season 5, Episode 1, Definitions. As the summer passes over, we see how... Wait a second. How am I just realizing this now? Literally every single season premiere starts off with a summer time skip. I wonder, why is that the case? Maybe the creators just really hate summer. Which kinda hurts, honestly, because my birthday's in summer. Anyway, we start off with Ted's first day of becoming a college professor, and he's in the wrong classroom. Eventually he goes to the right classroom, and once he does, he seems like he really enjoys his job. Other than that, we see Robin and Barney officially get together. It's nice to see how they actually commit to make this work, despite what happens in their past relationships. This season premiere wasn't the best or the worst one, but nothing about it really stood out for me. But it was a good old-fashioned How I Met Your Mother episode. I give it a good. Season 5, Episode 2. Double Date. We see the big plot point of the season, which is the introduction of the doppelgangers. I think it's a really fun concept, and so far we've seen Lesbian Robin, Mustache Marshall, which is my personal favorite, and now Stripper Lily. Cool episode. I give it a great. Season 5, Episode 3, Robin 101. Ted helps Barney become a better boyfriend for Robin. I honestly really admire how Barney cares about making Robin happy, even if he does this in a really weird way. You know what? It's a thought that counts. I give it a good. Season 5, Episode 4, The Sexless Innkeeper. Marshall kills a cat! And Ranji's here too. To be completely honest, this episode's so stupid, but hilarious. I gotta give it a great. Season 5, Episode 5, Dual Citizenship. They make fun of Canada a lot in this episode, which as a Canadian myself, kinda hurts. Wow, this season really hates me, huh? You know what, I'll give it a good, I guess. Season 5, Episode 6, Bagpipes. Barney and Robin are officially out of the honeymoon phase and start to argue. A lot. It's a good episode, and it segues really well into Season 5, Episode 7, Rough Patch. It's now abundantly clear that Robin and Barney aren't happy together, and the rest of the gang want them to break up. And despite their very large, their really large egos, Robin and Barney realize themselves that they need to break up for the sake of the gang and themselves. This was a very mature and out of the ordinary move by them, due to the fact they're so prideful of themselves and they never want to admit when they're wrong. But who knows? Maybe they'll get back together in the future. I give this episode a great. Season 5, Episode 8, The Playbook. Barney goes back to his usual self and introduces us to the infamous Playbook. This is such a classic episode, and at the end, we are introduced to Robin's new coworker, Dawn. Season 5, Episode 9, Slapsgiving 2, Revenge of the Slap. It's been too long, my friend. Before I get to the main part of the episode, I gotta mention that Marshall brought over a special guest for Slapsgiving. And of course, is Lily's deadbeat dad, Mickey. And even though they're on the best terms right now because of how he treated her in the past, he wants to make things right. Lily pushes him off at first, but realizes that she can't push him away forever, because if she does want to reconcile, it could be too late. So, she takes a page out of Ted's book and decides to forgive him. I give this episode a great.
And then Marshall slapped the shit out of him yet again. That's 4, baby. Let's go. Legendary episode, moving on.
Season 5, Episode 10, The Window. This episode indicates that Barney did something very, very interesting with an old lady. They had sex. Season 5, Episode 11, Last Cigarette Ever.
This episode has a really good message to never, ever smoke. And do coke and... I do really like this episode's ending, though. There's nothing too story-heavy or particular about it, but I like the timeline of when all the characters stop smoking because it fits their character really well.
Season 5, Episode 12, Girls vs. Suits. This is the 100th episode of the show. I would celebrate somehow. It was his voiceover, so I'm doing a dance, but you can't see me right now, so just visualize it. Yeah, we'll go through that. We get a super entertaining music video by Barney, which never fails to make me smile. But this episode also has plot significance, as Ted unintentionally returns a yellow umbrella to the mother as he goes to break up with the mother's roommate. So close, yet so far away. Not surprisingly, I gotta give this episode a legendary. Season 5, Episode 13, Jenkins. I get this episode, and okay. Season 5, Episode 14, Perfect Week. This is definitely another fan favorite episode, and for good reason as well. I give it a great. Season 5, Episode 15, Duck or Rabbit. Robin is really starting to warm up to Dawn, and realizes he might be a better guy than she thought. I give this episode a Ranji. That was weird. I give it an okay. Season 5, Episode 16, Hooked. Teacup Pig. Do I have to say anything else? Season 5, Episode 17, Of Course.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're officially past the halfway point of the show. Not gonna lie, before I started the episode itself, I thought about how far we've come over the past 4 months, and I let a huge damn out of my mouth. And then I started to watch the episode afterwards.
We find out how Barney and Robin's breakup affected Robin more than the gang thought it would. Robin's a really strong person, but after seeing Barney didn't really care or felt anything after the breakup, it took a toll on her. Especially after episodes like The Perfect Week. To make things right though, Barney sends her and Dawn on a super date. Honestly, it's just really nice seeing Barney do this kind of thing for Robin, especially how unapologetic he was in the past seasons. I gotta give this episode a great. Season 5, Episode 18, Say Cheese. Just a really fun episode with a sweet ending regarding Ted, Lily, and Marshall. I give it a great. Season 5, Episode 19, Zoo or False. Finally, the episode we've all been waiting for. The question that has plagued mankind since... just a second. April 12th, 2010. Every day, we wake up and ask ourselves, did Marshall get mugged by a monkey or a man? And after years of analyzing and putting the pieces together, every minute, every second, every frame of the episode, I've finally come to the conclusion.
I have no fucking clue. I hope it's a monkey though, because that would be kind of funny.
Season 5, Episode 20, Homewreckers. After seeing his mother get married for a second time, Ted goes through somewhat of a midlife crisis and goes ahead and buys a house. The house is pretty worn out, but Ted is set on fixing it and creating a home for his future wife and children, even though he doesn't have 2 of those things yet. He soon becomes skeptical of this quick-made decision, but Marshall convinces him to keep it. Knowing his best friend, he knew that Ted could make it a future home, and sure enough, he did. I give this episode a great. Season 5, Episode 21, Twin Beds. Robin decides to move out as she believes that her and Dawn are starting to get more serious, leaving Ted by himself at the apartment once more. I give this episode a good. Season 5, Episode 22, Robots vs. Wrestlers. The gang find the second last doppelganger, Wrestler Ted.
Still not as cool as Mustache Marshall.
Which leads Marshall and Lily to make a pact that once they find the last doppelganger, they will try to have a baby. I give this episode a good. Season 5, episode 23, The Wedding Bride. So some of Ted's bad luck from season 4 comes back to haunt him one more time for this episode. What seems like a normal movie day at first kind of goes downhill as Ted realizes that Tony, the guy who Stella left at the altar for, became a screenwriter and made a movie about the wedding and paints Ted as the bad guy. God, why the hell would you do this to someone? Tony and Ted left on good terms, and he decides to make a movie about his trauma that he's clearly not over?
Who would do something so vile and selfish? That's like someone making a book about how he got chlamydia. God, that is a horrible comparison. Why did I just say that?
So, yeah, the movie's a huge hit, and everyone, including the gang, come on, guys, love the movie. I'll talk about this more later, but I give it a good. The season 5 finale, Doppelganger. So despite this episode being called Doppelganger, the gang don't actually find Barney's doppelganger. But Marshall and Lily feel like they're ready. So in the next season, I guess they're gonna try to start having a baby. Meanwhile, Robin and Dawn are going extremely well. Until Robin gets a job offer in Chicago, which could be her big break, but she declines. There are many reasons for this, but most importantly, she doesn't want to leave Dawn behind because she really likes him. Which really sucks because right after, Dawn accepts a job offer instead, forcing them to break up and Robin to move back to Ted's apartment. And finally, and actually the most important part of the season finale, is the gang make Ted go blonde.
And in the spirit of How I Met Your Mother and Ted, I decided to go blonde myself. I'll catch you back soon. Yeah, sorry, no, I don't have nearly as much subscribers to do that yet. Don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for all of you. Just, you know what, I'll say this. If we get 100 subscribers in the next month, I'll go blonde, for sure, 100%. Will that happen? Probably not, but you know what, I'll say this here. Oh, and also, it's the end of season 5 too. Alright, how do I accurately explain season 5? Well, it's pretty much wedged in between two very important seasons. Not to say it doesn't have any overarching story episodes, but definitely doesn't have as much as season 4 and for sure season 6. And the big thing that differentiates this season from all the other ones is the amount of cutaway gags in every episode. If you don't already know what a cutaway gag is, it's basically an interruption from the main plot of an episode to a completely different scene. That scene could pertain to the plot or could just be there for a quick laugh. Of course, a prime example I can use for this kind of comparison is Family Guy. Wow, I never thought in my entire life I'll relate Family Guy to How I Met Your Mother. Wow. This isn't a bad thing, obviously. It's just the creators trying something new, and for the most part, it works. Keep in mind, I say for the most part, though. Like, I feel like every episode has, like, at least 10 of them, and yes, they're funny, but too much of one thing isn't a good thing, you know? I'm not really criticizing the show for doing this. It's something that a lot of sitcoms did in the late 2000s. It just can get annoying sometimes. It didn't affect my overall enjoyment of the season. It's just a nitpick, basically. The sort of epithet I'll give season 5 is getting over the hump. I know, it's not my most original one, but to be fair, we are more than halfway done the series. Yeah, that means 96 more episodes of more insanity, but I'm here for it. And season 6 to 9, things change, and I'm ready to review it. But before that, of course, I gotta talk about the character arcs in this season.
First off, thank God Ted was able to catch a break from the last season. Sure, there's a little sprinkle of season 4 luck with the wedding bride, but other than that, he's doing really great for himself. He really likes his new job as professor, and honestly, it really suits him. You never stop to think about it, but Ted literally has a perfect personality to be a teacher, and I'm glad he finally has a secure job. Oddly enough though, this is the only season in the entire show where Ted doesn't pursue any sort of girl or has a single girlfriend over the period of multiple episodes. No, really, think about it. Season 1 he had Victoria, Season 2 was Robin, Season 3/4 was Stella, and Karen, I guess. And Season 5, literally not at all.
I guess Ted really needed a break from dating after all this time. And honestly, he doesn't have any character-specific episodes as well, except for when he met the mother's roommates and when he bought his house. I think this is for the better though, because the other 4 members of the gang get a lot more time to shine instead. Actually, before we move on, I want to discuss the wedding bride in a bit more detail. The big thing in this episode is that obviously Tony's a dickhead, and after this episode, he's obviously probably one of the most hated characters in the entire show. And yes, I'm not going to take away from that. That was a dick move, and he deserves to be hated for that. But I want to ask, does Ted deserve this? Now immediately you'd say no, because he's the main character and we've been following him, so we're supposed to like him, we're supposed to root for him. But Ted has done some questionable things in the past, especially in this season. So perhaps he deserves this in order to accommodate for all the shitty things he's done in the past. It's a weird question, and I don't have enough time to answer it today, but it might be something I want to delve into more in a later video. And with that out of the way, let's finally move on to Marshall and Lily.
Well, kind of, because as for Marshall and Lily, they didn't really go through that much either. Sure, I guess Lily had that nice moment with her dad, and they were ready to have a baby, but honestly, they took a backseat for the season as well.
Safe to say that won't be the case for the next season though.
And of course, this leads off with the 2 biggest character arcs of the season, which are Barney and Robin. Let's start with Barney. Wow, it is really nice to see Barney actually strive to be a good boyfriend. The writers could have been lazy about this and make it seem like he wouldn't put in effort, but damn, it's impressive. Of course, it was expected that things wouldn't work out, for now at least, but wow, it was really weird how they broke up fairly early into the season. Not gonna lie, for something that was super hyped up for all of season 4, it kinda sucked how it ended so abruptly. Not to say that the reason for the breakup didn't make sense, it's just that it ended 7 episodes into the season, but this season truly showed inside and outside the relationship that Barney, can be a dick sometimes, but he truly does care about his friends.
He's no longer hiding with his mistakes, and instead takes the blame up front. And he overall handles the situation with Robin a lot better than his fight with Ted in season 3. You can really tell that these characters are not static, and they've changed a lot from who they used to be in season 1, and they're only going to change more as the seasons go on.
And lastly for Robin, she truly suffered a lot in this season actually, huh? From 2 emotional breakups and a not so great career, she's really reminded me of Ted from season 4. I didn't get much time to talk about him, but Don really came around by the end of the season. Obviously, he was a jackass when he was introduced, but as time went on, you really get to care about him and see that he's kind of broken on the inside. Robin really cared for Dawn to the point that she chose love over her career, something that she states she will never do. Here, you can truly see how much he's changed from the earlier seasons, as this was something that would be unthinkable for her. Like Ted last season, it's amazing to see that she never let her guard down once. Her goal is to become a professional news reporter and does not want to stop at nothing to accomplish that. It was also nice to see that she slightly put her ego down in order to make these hard decisions.
And now that I think about it, most of the gang have really big egos, huh? Robin has had a lot of ups and downs, but it just truly shows how strong she is. And hopefully she'll finally make her big break soon. When Robin comes back to Ted's apartment once she breaks up with Dawn, he comforts her a lot and says some pretty meaningful things about how she was when they first met to compare how they are now. It's actually very reminiscent to the one of the final seasons, season 4, when Lily gives a whole speech to Ted. Except this time, the rest of the gang weren't there to see it, and now it's just Ted and Robin. They're about to do something that they're gonna regret. And right before it started, Robin laughed at Ted's blonde hair, and that's completely, turned off the mood. This may not seem relevant, but I honestly just love how they took a little side gag in the episode and actually made it pretty relevant to the main plot. It's something that only the creators of How I Met Your Mother can pull off. So that's all I have for Season 5. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want, tell me your thoughts on Season 5 in the comments below. Well, I guess that's all I have to say. This is the glass half full. And I'll see you next time.